All right, with that, let's bring in White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Karoline, thank you for joining us. Good to have you here today. Has the call begun with Prime Minister Trudeau?
Last I checked, yes, the call was underway at 3:00 p.m. with the Prime Minister of Canada. And as promised, President Trump is delivering on his promises to the American people to put them first. And I would just like to take a step back today, Martha. The previous president, Joe Biden, allowed an unprecedented surge of illegal, deadly drugs and illegal immigrants into the interior of our country that has cost American lives. And within 2 weeks, President Trump has the Mexican president caved this morning, agreed to surge 10,000 troops to our southern border to protect our homeland with a 1-month delay on those tariffs. So we will see what comes out of the call between President Trump and the Canadian Prime Minister. But President Trump is sending a very strong message to the rest of the world, including our North American allies, Canada and Mexico, that the United States is no longer going to be a dumping ground for illegal, deadly drugs and illegal immigrants.
So do you think it's likely, given what the president said in the Oval Office, Karoline, that these tariffs will not get a 1-month delay from Canada, that they will go into effect short of any kind of arrangement on, he mentioned cars and fentanyl and farming and banking? Could that be dealt with in this phone call right now here at 3:00?
Well, we'll have to see if Prime Minister Trudeau is willing to do what's right, not just for the American people, but also for the Canadian people, as these tariffs will cause immense pain and suffering to his people in Canada. But they'll be good, again, for the American people, because President Trump has made it very clear that he expects leaders around the world to not only cooperate with the repatriation of their nation's citizens, but also no longer just view the United States as a place where illegal, deadly fentanyl and illegal immigrants can surge our country's territorial borders.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to reverse, and it's pretty clear that President Trump is very determined to make that happen quickly. However, Chuck Schumer is a little bit worried about his Super Bowl party, Karoline. Let's watch this.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico. If you have pizza, it's going to affect the cost of cheese.
He doesn't want any pain at his Super Bowl party, Karoline. What do you have to say about that very interesting show and tell?
Well, this just proves that the Democrat Party is still incredibly out of touch with the American people, because while Chuck Schumer is whining about the cost of a pint of beer, President Trump is talking about saving American lives. And I would say to Chuck Schumer, what would you give? What price would you pay if your child was killed at the hands of an illegal immigrant who should have never made their way into this country in the first place? Or if your child died at the hands of illegal Chinese fentanyl that was trafficked through both our southern and northern borders? There are thousands of parents across this country who have felt that loss. There is no price that can bring their child back. And that's what President Trump is doing with these tariffs. He's making it very clear that he is going to put the American people's interests first, and he is going to protect our homeland. And Democrats can either get on board with that, or they can continue to lose elections as they did on November 5th.
It seems like a good opportunity for Bud Light to make a comeback after some missteps over recent years. So maybe it's going to be a big Bud Light Super Bowl. We'll see. There's plenty of American beer to go around.
That's right.
Here's some NBA fans in Toronto booing our national anthem. Karoline, watch this. So obviously, they don't want to pay more. President Trump did say, though, Karoline, that it may mean short-term pain for Americans. Can you define what that's going to look and feel like besides beer and avocados?
Well, again, I think nothing can compare to the pain and the suffering that has been inflicted upon the American people because of the illegal immigration and drug crisis we've faced, especially over the past 4 years. But when it comes to reducing inflation, this administration remains wholeheartedly committed to bringing down costs while President Trump effectively utilizes tariffs. You saw President Trump already launch a massive deregulatory agenda, slashing 10 regulations for every new one on the book. He signed that executive order last week. He's also launched a massive energy push, and Trump energy boom is incoming, which we know will reduce the cost of living in this country as well. And so we are all hands on deck here at the White House and across the government to ensure that we're cutting costs for Americans where we can, while the president simultaneously effectively utilizes tariffs as he did in his first term. And look no further than his first term record as president. When he left office, inflation was 1.4%. The only reason we had an inflationary crisis was because of the previous administration, Joe Biden's reckless spending. And you're not seeing that from this administration. Look at DOGE and the cost that they're already saving for the American taxpayer.
Yeah. Well, Joe Biden was very confused about what the level of inflation was when he came in. He seemed to, gloss over that number and think it was a lot higher. But in fact, it was in the 1% range, as you point out. So the conversation with China, obviously, all of these leaders and all the issues that the three biggest trade countries with the United States represent are different. But the president said he expects to have a discussion with China's leader over the next 48 hours. Can you give us any more insight on what that looks like and what the major issues are there, Karoline?
Well, as the president said in the Oval Office just moments ago, there is a plan for him to talk to President Xi in the next 24 hours, as President Trump said. I won't get ahead of that discussion, but I will echo what the president put when he signed the 10% tariff on China, that we are not going to allow this country to, again, be a dumping ground for illegal Chinese fentanyl that is killing tens of thousands of Americans every single year. And so the president has made it very clear to China that we are not going to tolerate that. And I would also add that many of President Trump's tariffs from the first term are still in effect. Yeah. The previous administration knew that they were effective, and that's why they have still been placed on China to this day.
Just real quick before I let you go, he kept coming back to the issue of cars. I mean, clearly the president is agitated, and rightfully so, over the fact that American cars are not being bought by these other countries. Is that an area where you could see growth, you could see some agreement with Canada and perhaps with China as well? And Europe, you mentioned.
Well, President Trump certainly wants to see countries around the world purchasing American-made vehicles and products. We have the best workers in the world. We have the resources that we need to build vehicles and many other industries right here at home. And so that's a big part of this as well, is President Trump implementing these tariffs to raise revenue here in the United States of America, but also to protect critical industries and bring jobs back home as well. Well,
it's interesting. The Dow was down quite a bit. It's now hovering around the unchanged level. As we watch this, and if we get breaking news out of this conversation with Canada, perhaps another delay in these tariffs, every business in America, big and small, is watching this, because it isn't just beer and guacamole. It's every little part that goes into different things that Americans make and eat and buy that businesses are watching closely. So it's a fascinating process to keep an eye on. Sorry, what, Caroline?
I would just add, Martha, that President Trump wants all of those products and all of those businesses to continue doing what they do best, but right here in the United States of America. And he has promised the lowest energy costs and lowest taxes anywhere in the world if companies from around the globe decide to do business in the United States of America. We are open for business with President Trump in the Oval Office.
A lot going on. Very interesting and fascinating to watch. Caroline, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Martha.
रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोड़ी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोड़ी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोड़ी के होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के मन देवरा के करी मन देवरा के कनी हाथ जोड़ी के रंग डाले प्रणाम करे ढोड़ी के अरे होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के मन देवरा के कनी हाथ जोड़ी के रंग डाले प्रणाम करे ढोड़ी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम प्रणाम करे ढोरी के सरारा सरारा होली सैरा सरारा प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के मजा आता है ये सब डाल के मजा आएगा गाना हम लोग गाएंगे तो साला बेइज्जती ज्यादा हम लोगों को कर देंगे सब हम गाने रियली बताएं अगर भैया जो कोई कंटेंट ना हो तो मतलब थोड़ा हम गा देंगे दे दीजिएगा कोई मैटर होगा बिल्कुल ई अपने बार जो कंपोजिशन बाटे सब जो अपना खाली कंपोज कर दिया अभी तू कहत रहा था हम कंटेंट का दिखाओ गाना कंपोज करके दी हम जान जब फ्लेवर में हम गवाल चाहिए रियाज उस फ्लेवर में गावा तो पौड़ी मजा है ठीक ना तो भाव गाल से छोड़ना मित्रों मैंने मेरा 10,000 इंदे फिर तो क्यों नहीं करता है अरे होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के ने कोनी हाथ जोड़े मना दीवार के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के आगम डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के मना दीवार के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के मना दीवार के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के अरे होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के अरे में भतार गले छोड़ी के अरे घोसे ला अरे घोसे ला करे बाला जोड़ी घोसे ला करे बाला जोड़ी घोसे ला करे बाला जोड़ी भतार गले छोड़ी देवारे रंगे ढोरी छोड़ी देवार रंग ढोरी भतार गले छोड़ी रंग ढोरी कैसे लगी मौत कलाकारी बाबा इसके पहले गाना मजा आया ढोरी गा दे वो तेरे थोड़ा बहुत कोशिश कर दे तो हम बोल तो मान ली हम दा कोनो गाना अश्लील गाना के होली के अश्लीलता हम गा दे तो बट अश्लीलता अरे होली में भतार गइले छोड़ी के होली में भतार गइले छोड़ी के मना देवरा के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के मना देवरा के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के ये अच्छा लगा बाप रे खींचे बोली रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के अरे होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के मना देवरा के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के मना देवरा के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के रंग डाल के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के एक मजा आएगा में अरे गा दी तब हमके मार देने से करवा वाला सच हमारे घर में सुनने चले ना हम गाई हम गाई ना माना नहीं क्लासिकल आवाज दो तो गाओ इसको रियली बता रहा हूँ वैसे गाने लायक नहीं है अगर गाओगे ऊंचा स्वर में तब अरे होली में बताने गइले छोड़ी आप याद करा दी हम गा देंगे रोशन कितना बढ़िया पकड़ लेता है याद रोशन आप याद कराइए होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के माना देवरा के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के माना देवरा के कोनी हाथ जोड़ी के रंग डाल के हो रंग डाल के प्रणाम करे ढोरी के 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 लेकिन रोशन देखिए कोशिश करेंगे पकड़ ले रहा है हम कोशिश करेंगे तो हम गा देंगे नहीं हो जाएगा अरे होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के, होली में भतार गले छोड़ी के, माना देवा के कोई नहीं हाथ जोड़ी के, माना देवा के प्रणाम कर ढोड़ी के, मैं देखा रंग डाल के प्रणाम कर ढोड़ी के, रंग डाल के प्रणाम कर ढोड़ी के, रंग डाल के प्रणाम कर ढोड़ी के, रंग डाल के प्रणाम कर ढोड़ी के।
जितना बा पेट के पास नस टाइट हो जाला।
हाँ ये चीजें होती सुबह यही तो किया।
ओम सा का रियाज क्यों करते आ सा की रियाज करो सा
खुलता है। इससे नीचे रेंज पे बनाता है, ये बनाते एक्टिव करता है शरीर को, ये थ्रोट को भी स्ट्रॉन्ग कर देता है।
जितना हो पाएगा आपका ठीक है, तब ऊपर रेंज से जाएगा। और जहाँ भाई जिसको सा मतलब नहीं मतलब
नीचवा से जितना ऊपर उठिए ना, ये वाला होता है, यहाँ से यही पकड़ा जाता है। अब ये से रियाज करो।